Oh, I say. Evening, you wrong-uns. 8 o'clock, well, I never on a Sunday evening. And I'm not tempting fate, but there doesn't appear to be any issues other than just trying to get this camera sorted. Lovely. Right, let's do that and that, and let's see if, yeah, that's working. Oh, right, press buttons, all work. Blimey, 4 gone. Evening, Rollins. Welcome to live number 34. Let's go to your comments very quickly. The Bovril in good time because I'm a wrong'un. And no doubt Adrian is going to have problems with his 3G mobile phone setup. You're wrong'un. GB Patriot, no being late, Adrian, because you've been scoffing Battenberg cake with a new missus. She didn't get any. Adi Blackmore, I watched The Reckoning about Jimmy Savile. Found it very disturbing. Oh, you, me, and everybody else, Adi. Marcia Toms, so sorry, Adrian, can't make the live, but we'll watch the catch-up. It's all right, Marcia, not a problem at all. I appreciate that people have lives to go to. Adi Blackmore, and apparently George Savile is Jimmy Savile's great nephew. Is he a football player or something? Andy Turner, mint tea and Battenberg at the ready. Oh, Andy, I don't have any tea with me. Not that I'm dropping any hints at all. So no hibiscus this evening. And Andy Sunsky, evening everyone. Cheeky glass of JD in hand, ready for Mr. AA. You're very kind, Andy Sinsky. Susan Cartwright, evening. Just having a cuppa. Nice. George Michael says he'd rather have a cup of tea. We didn't believe that either. The Bovril tea, best drink of the day, Suzanne. And Andy Sinsky, it's Sunday. Let your hair down. Blimey, you're all a bit lively on the text tonight. Rich, hi Andy. Rich says, I'm out of the bath. Oh, no, me eyes, Rich, me eyes. Nice glass of chilled Thatcher's in me hand. I'm waiting for the big man to start. Oh, it's all going to kick off tonight, Rich. I think Adrian's new theme tune should be Let Me Entertain You. I very much doubt I can do that, Rich, but I'll give it a good go. And Andy Sinsky, again, I'm sure that Dougie has some spare kit he could loan Adrian. After all, he can't use it for a good while. Rich, when's his release date? June 2025. Norman Taylor, good evening, and R.I.P. Sir Bobby Charlton, legend. And I'm going to get to that. That's going to be my first story of the evening, if you don't mind. I just want to get this camera right. Right, that'll do. Good evening, Andy Sinsky, Rich. I want to say hello to the newbies, if there's anybody. Philip Fraser, evening all. Rich, all good, hun, just waiting for the big man. And Andy Sinsky, welcome to my world, Tracy. P.T. Ham, hello, all. And is it on yet? Is it on? Is it on? Blimey, all these Sharky White. Hello, Adrian, you wrong'un. Mr. John Up, hello, Adrian. It's good to be back. I've been keeping up with events as best I can. Good man, Mr. John Up. Good to know that you're in house. You're in the body of the Kirk. Phil Sumner, evening, you lovely, delicious wrong'uns. I'm really upset, Adrian. I've just found out they don't make topic. No! Really, Phil? What was the old phrase? Squirrel shite. A peanut in every bite. Not peanut. Hazelnut in every bite. That was the old sales slogan. The ad slogan, wasn't it? Topic. Well, I am sure that I have seen topics around while I've been, buying me morning papers and stuff. Really? That's just a catastrophe. That's just not playing cricket. Howie, Adrian, and Wiggy Videos, you've spelt that correctly, because the Geordie is Howie. And there's only people from the northeast know that, to be fair. The Jacobite, evening, Adrian. Who should be Prime Minister? Sooty up Basilbrush. Sweep. Andy Sinsky, nice shirt, Adrian. Oh, thank you very much. bought it in a charity shop. Honestly, I need to get this. Is that? Yeah, that's better. Gary Richardson. Hello. Terry Wookfit. Sorry, Uncle Adrian, but that Battenberg thing is garbage. What do you mean? I've been eating boiled eggs and mushy pea sandwiches for the past 14 days. 7 days without the cake, 7 days with Battenberg. Hope it made things smell acceptable, Terry. And Terry Wookfit, final one before we get into a really lovely story that I want to tell you. Absolutely no, oh, Terry, absolutely no difference in texture, volume or smell. You're obviously doing it wrong. But seemingly, this queen from Europe ate it the day before and then got on the plane. So I don't know whether it was 24 hours or it's not 7 days. Can you imagine? Yes, hazelnut in every bite. Thank you, Tower Block Tracy. Yeah, squirrel shite. I can say that because it's not monetized. Right. You're only getting 5 minutes tonight to get your feet under the table. Why? Because we've got lots to talk about. I've got a lot of your comments around Holly Willoughby. I've got a prediction to make around Phil and Holly. I'm going to get straight into talking about Bobby Charlton. Sir Bobby Charlton. We'll talk about the Tory Party. It's a busted flush. NHS, women wanting sexy back. That's not that, young boy that knocked Whitney. God, I can't even remember her name. Blimey, that's because I've got no hibiscus. Hint, hint. Shoplifting and the BBC. So we're going to get through a lot of that. But I want to tell you that the next live is Wednesday, 25th of October. That's this coming Wednesday. It's live number 35 and only 9 weeks to go to Christmas. I think, is Christmas a Saturday this year? Christmas Day. And Boxing Day is a Sunday. Let me just... Fatal Racing Driver. Hi, have you seen any Gerald Celente vids? Is it Celente? On YouTube. He does a good insight into the bank situation and the wars of the Middle East. Yeah, a banker's war. We all know it's a banker's war. I've been taking to reading the FT every day because the markets don't like to be shafted. And you can tell... Oh, Christmas Day's a Monday. Thank you, Tower Block Tracy. And if you can hear any dogs in the background, we're dog sitting. Do you know I say that? And he shuts up immediately. So if you can hear any barking, it's not me or the new Mrs. Allen. We're dog sitting. So, honestly, what was I going to say? Yes, so very quickly, about an hour ago, I saw the headline. Sorry, FT. So I'm picking up the FT every day to look at how the markets are reacting because the markets don't like losing money. And if they do anything that makes them lose money, they get very upset. So I'm looking at the money. Follow the money. I'm watching it all. And you get very good reportage in the Financial Times, let me tell you. So I've been reading it all this week. It makes for interesting reading. About an hour ago, I got word that there was a bit of a skirmish in the Gaza side of the border between Israel and the Gazans. I'm unsure why they're calling them the Gazans and they're not calling them the Palestinians. Have you noticed that? They've stopped calling them the Palestinians. They've started calling them the Gazans. Oh, why is that, mainstream media? Are you up to something? Oh, I think so. So there's been a skirmish and seemingly the IDF had contact with Hamas. They told it was Hamas. And a couple of bulldozers were fired at or blown up or something happened. But it was just the way that it was reported. The mainstream media are desperate for it to kick off in the Middle East. They're desperate for full-blown World War III, 4 and 5 in the Middle East. As are the Americans. Because the Americans make money out of war. That's what this is all about. So it was in the FT the other day that and the Israeli Times, one of the dailies in Israel, that said, Benjamin Netanyahu wants $10 billion. How are you, man? 10 bill? Come on, Joe. Hunter can come across. We'll just, palm a little off. Oh, you're done with Ukraine now. Oh, you've got all your money out of Ukraine. Lovely, Joe. Lovely. Right. Middle East. It's a new money-making game. the bankers' war. So there's been some kind of skirmish. There's been some kind of contact around the border between Hamas and, have you noticed, even little Yasser Arafat. I mean, he was jockey height. Oh, that's a polite term. He was jockey height, and not schmeckle height, cocky height. See, I knew I was going to let it slip. Sorry. So he was barely 3.5 foot tall. Obviously, I'm journalistic license, but little Yasser, everybody knew who he was. He was the head of the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization. Have you seen anybody that belongs to Hamas? Have you? Anybody? Anybody? Leader? Have we got a spokesperson or spokespersons? I mean, seemingly they're very left-wing in this country, and everybody that's supporting very left-wing, so it might be a woman. You know, equality. But have you ever seen anybody from Hamas? No, me neither. But I remember Yasser Arafat trousering hundreds of millions of dollars and putting them in Swiss bank accounts that nobody can now find. So I'm just waiting, you see, because the mainstream media are just foul. They're evil. And I mean, after the last 3 and a bit years, since 2020, where you started to trust them and then you didn't. And you didn't because you saw through them. So for the last 3.5 years, all of a sudden, you're now trusting them again. I mean, which planet are you on? Are you with Elon Musk on Mars or something? Don't trust them as far as I can spit them. I keep telling you this, and I read them every day. And you can just get a feel from what's going on in the newspapers that they've gotten out to write about. It's literally opinion pieces everywhere within the mainstream media. It's just opinions. And you know what opinions are like, don't you? Yeah, arseholes. Everybody's got one. So they get all these people in, hundreds of thousands of pounds a year. And I saw Boris, yeah, the blonde-haired idiot, buffoon. I saw him yesterday in the Mail saying, we've got to go to war. Yes, Boris, we know. Whose pot have you got your fingers in, mate? Who are you getting the money from? Boris. Because that's what politics is about now. It's about making as much money as you can without getting found out, without getting your fingers trapped. So, you see, I start on the Middle East and on politics, and it makes me just kind of rant on. So I'm going to just leave it there. I'm just going to park it up because there's stuff I want to talk about. And I want to tell you, I've lived a very privileged life. I've had many, 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 many wonderful things happen to me. I've got lots of stories, famous people, and it's not something that I readily bring to the table because I don't like doing the, Johnny Big Bollocks, none of that. But there are a few stories that I'm happy to tell you, and just to give you a flavour. And when I talk about radio, I want to lift the veil. I know everybody in the radio industry. I just want to lift the veil a little bit so you can see the workings of commercial radio. You understand the workings of radio. You might understand a little bit about BBC radio. That's not for long, let me tell you. Not that you would see me lifting the veil, but BBC radio, it's done, honestly. It's done. Burst. Done. Gone. And I had a conversation the other day about it. But one of my, as well as doing radio and as well as doing TV and as well as doing lots of other bits and pieces, I actually was in PR, in public relations, for a couple of years, from sort of 96, 95, 96-ish through to 97. And one of the, we'll start, right, I'm going to dob me dad in it. He's not around anymore, so he's not going to hear this. I don't think they've got YouTube in heaven. No, he's definitely not in heaven. They've not got YouTube in hell. My dad had the Bobby Charlton comb over. Can you remember that? The Bobby Charlton comb over. All the men that were losing, like, the hair here, they just used to do the Cyril Regis. I think he was a Spurs, not Cyril Regis. There was a Spurs player that had a comb over. Bobby Charlton had the comb over. And my dad, it was like, you get into the sort of 80s and 90s for men. And we could have just shaved it off. I mean, thankfully, I've still got the odd hair or three. But my dad, he went bald when he had, my mum and he had me and my siblings. And He lost it at 23, 24, literally gone overnight. Magnificent head of hair, gone overnight. And you look at the pictures in some of the newspapers and the reportage online today, and Bobby Charlton was exactly the same. Young guy, fit guy, great head of hair, comb over. And we used to rib my dad mercilessly. Just shave it off, Dad. It's like Bobby Charlton, man. Bobby Charlton, you don't want to comb over. But it was a male. Oh, Ralph Coates, brilliant. Janine Hepburn, thank you. Spurs, Ralph Coates, love it. He had a comb over, and when he was running around, Ralph Coates, I remember when he was running around, there was like a big long wave here that, like, he had the strands and they were really long, and then he would just comb it over back into place. I mean, some men went and had wigs and stuff, and nowadays men go to Turkey and get the hair off the backside put onto their head. Now, that's a proper comedy opening, which we will go to another night, because I want to be respectful around Bobby. Not about my dad, about Bobby Charlton. But the reason I mentioned I was in PR is I was working with a company in London, and we were working on Expo 98. And Expo 98 was being held in Lisbon. So Expo moves around every 4 years, and it sort of regenerates the city that they go to. It had been in Canada somewhere, and then it was going to Lisbon in Portugal in 98. So at 96, I was at the forefront, and I was brought in as the radio expert to because they wanted to create individual radio stations for individual countries that attended Expo. Pretty big project. And I sort of, once we got the dossier to presentation stage, and the head of the company went across to Portugal, I kind of left it. But so I was part of the team putting together a bid to facilitate radio and communications Expo 98. And we sat down and had a brainstorming session. Adrian, have you ever met Paul Gambaccini? No, Mr. John Up, I'm straight. I think he's shortly celebrating 50 years in radio, although I'm 50 would have been 73. Might have been. Yeah, might have been. So I looked at some of the famous people that might have had any kind of connection with Portugal, so that we could get an interview and we could promos together, and the more famous the better. And I thought about Cliff Richard, and he had a vineyard in Portugal, and I thought, no, he's not really my style. He's not really. Who can we go to? Didn't Bobby Robson manage Porto, the football side? Yeah, I'll go and talk to Bobby Robson, and that's another story for another night. And then I thought, hang on a second, because in 96, I think, Sir Bobby Charlton had only been knighted. Was it 94? Just before. And the Euros had taken place, and we'd had quite a good Euro. So I just thought, that's it, Bobby Charlton. I'll go and speak to Sir Bobby Charlton. So I rang around some of my contacts and said, have you got any contacts for Sir Bobby Charlton? Now, this was not when everybody had email. This was not when you had easy access via X, or formerly known as Twitter, or social media. None of that malarkey. No, it was, did you have the telephone number? If you didn't have the telephone number, you couldn't get hold of them. So I thought, do you know, I'll ring Manchester United. He's an ambassador for the club. He's an ambassador for football worldwide. He's revered worldwide. He's possibly the best known Englishman in the world, after King or Queen or Prince of Wales, ever. So I thought, I'll fly a kite, and I'll see if Manchester United will give me his number. And again, this was before data protection, GDPR and stuff. So I rang the club, and the club were lovely. They were brilliant. And I said, look, this is who I am. This is what I'd like to do. Just want to do a quick 10-minute interview with Sir Bobby Robson. And it's just about his connections with Eusebio. Played against Benfica in the late 60s in the European Cup. And England played Portugal in the semi-final of the 1966 World Cup. 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup. So I said to them, this is what I'm trying to do. I can give you my number if you want to ring me back to make sure I am who I say I am. And bless them, they did. They rang me back and went, right, okay, leave it with us. Can't give you any guarantees, but leave it with us. And about 2 hours later, they must have rang Sir Bobby Charlton at home And they rang me back and said, we've spoken to Sir Bobby Charlton. He's happy for you to have his telephone number, his home telephone number. If you ring him within the next 60 minutes, he will be there and he's happy to talk to you. And I was like, what? Really? Sir Bobby Charlton? And what a life Sir Bobby Charlton had. I mean, I know that him and his brother Jackie, and I played cricket with Jackie for the Lord's Taverners. That's another story for another night. And I don't know whether you're aware of Busby Babes and whether the plane crash that involved Sir Bobby, and they stopped at Munich to refuel. All the team was on board, and there was a horrible, horrible, horrible plane crash. And the thing was, God, if you wish, or fate, or however you deem it, it was on Sir Bobby's side, because there was two other players that wanted to swap seats. They wanted to be further back in the plane for safety, they said, and they swapped seats with Sir Bobby. If Sir Bobby hadn't swapped seats, he wouldn't have been around. Wouldn't have been around for the World Cup, wouldn't have been around for the 62 World Cup, 66, 70. He wouldn't have been around. Busby Babes, there was many lives lost. But Sir Bobby's was saved by one of the other players literally getting hold of him and the guy that he was sitting next to by their belt buckles and dragging them out of the plane. And yeah, have we got any Manchester United fans commenting this evening? Because I'd love to know your thoughts. But as I say, with all this background, they were the European Cup winners against Benfica. I'm sure George Best scored a goal. I think Sir Bobby might have scored a goal. European Cup in the 60s, I mean. The first English side to win the European Cup. I know Forest did it on the trot 2 years in the late 70s, but like 79 and 80. But back end of the 60s, 6th of Feb, 58, was that the date of the crash, Terry? And the plane just clipped the end of the runway. The wing went into a building. It was awful. It was awful. But I'll give you a quote because, in the 66 World Cup, England semi-final, 2-1 against Portugal, Eusebio played. And Sir Bobby Charlton paid tribute to Eusebio, describing the former Portugal and Benfica striker as one of the finest players I've ever had the privilege to play against. So Sir Bobby and Eusebio were good friends, good mates. And I thought, that's what I need. I just, the Portuguese would love the fact that the greatest living Englishman, Sir Bobby Charlton, had a dear, dear friend in Eusebio. So I had Sir Bobby's home telephone number. And it's a bit like, when something bizarre happens and it just feels surreal. It was that. It was if I was floating around and it just didn't feel real. It just didn't feel real. And Junior Stevens, I have a Kevin Keegan story because obviously I was working for Fayed back into the 90s when Kevin Keegan was managing Fulham with Arthur Cox. So I do have a story for another night. And so I called at the allotted time. And I'm sat in a radio studio in the PR company in London. And Sir Bobby Charlton answered the phone. It was Sir Bobby Charlton answering the phone, which really freaked me out. I mean, I'm just a daft lad from the northeast, so I'm seeing Sir Bobby Charlton on the telly playing footy in Europe, World Cup winners, everything. So I was a bit fanboy-ish, but, professionalism always kicks in, so you just got to get on with it. So Bobby was knighted in 94 for his services as an ambassador for football. And at the time, when everybody was sort of calling him, he's a boy from Ashington. Sorry, was it Ambleside or Ashington? And he was just one of us. He was just a man on the street. Just call me Bobby. And I was like, are you sure, Sir Bobby? We haven't started the interview yet, but, however you'd like to be addressed. He said, just call me Bobby. It's fine. So we spent so the interview was supposed to last 10 minutes. He didn't want it to finish, and I didn't want it to finish. So it lasted about half an hour. And I've still got the master tape and the edited version that we kind of submitted for the Expo submission. And it was just, honestly, it's one of the best experiences of my life. We spent over half an hour chatting about Eusebio, the World Cup semi-final, the World Cup final. How does it feel to win the World Cup, Sir Bobby? Oh, it was brilliant. I mean, he was so understated and very, I would use the word laconic. He was just very laid back and very understated and very, very humble, wonderfully humble. And he spoke about his love and friendship with the Portuguese and his footballing memories with Benfica and Eusebio. And he literally never broke a sweat. It was, I mean, he was so adept. He you know, for decades, he'd been in the media spotlight, and he was just, I would like to think that all Englishmen were as quintessentially English as Sir Bobby. He was just a gentleman through and through, never broke sweat, answered each and every question with great humour and humility, and told great stories. He didn't, you know, like today in the mainstream media, you ask somebody a question, mainly politicians, but if you ask somebody a question, they kind of divert it. They've all been media trained to within an inch of their lives. And so Bobby Charlton was just authentic. He was real. He was just you and I, but knew very famous people and had had a tremendous and wonderful life. And I will never forget, how would I encapsulate the day that I spoke to Sir Bobby Charlton? I would say that he was a very kind gentleman. He was utter class, in my view, in my personal experience. And he gave me, as a bit of a starstruck fanboy, football fan, he gave me a wonderful opportunity and a memory that I can regale people with, and a chance to speak to a hero, one of the class of 66, the lads from 66, the World Cup winners, the boys of 66. And talking to you now, it literally sends the hairs on the back of my neck standing. Wonderful, wonderful. So my memory of Sir Bobby Charlton, he not only said yes to the interview when he didn't have to, he said yes to Manchester United in them handing out his telephone number when he didn't have to. He agreed to 10 minutes, and 10 minutes over half an hour. I think it was closer to 40 minutes. And he just did that out of the goodness of his heart. What a man. What a gentleman. Utter class, Bobby Charlton. So Bobby Charlton, R.I.P. But I also want to move on to something slightly more serious involving Sir Bobby, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning this. But when I was doing research for tonight's live, I didn't know that out of the boys of 66, 5 have gone with dementia. I didn't know that. And they're saying that they think it's heading the ball because, you know, back in the day, back in the 50s and 60s, I mean, it was like rock. It was leather. It was sewn. It was just like rock. And a lot of footballers seemingly are dying from dementia. So out of the boys of 66, and please, if you don't mind, we've got nearly 142 people watching, under 50 likes. So please smash the likes while I continue to discuss this. But I know I've met and spoken with and played cricket with Jackie Charlton for the Lord's Taverners. Nobby Stiles, his son John, is trying to create awareness around dementia and footballers. So you've got Nobby Stiles, now sadly Sir Bobby Charlton, Martin Peters, Ray Wilson and Jackie Charlton. 5 of the 11 have gone with dementia. And nobody's really... Did Alan Sugar make a documentary about it, about dementia and footballers? Because finding that out today, not only was it a revelation, but was also quite impactful. Because I never knew that. And the only one of the team that's left, some have gone with cancer, 5 have gone with dementia, but the only one that's left is the hat-trick hero, Geoff Hurst, Sir Geoff Hurst. And it's, I watched him do a piece for Sky Telly around what they were trying to do and the awareness they were trying to bring. And he got quite choked up, saying, you know, we'd meet up every now and again, we'd go to dinners, we'd speak at dinners, we'd do charity work. You know, my teammates are not around anymore. But it's like, I mean, I'm of an age where I can remember all of these names. Nicola Brindley said, so is Jeff Astle's daughter. Is she called Dawn, Nicola? It's just being hidden by the heart on my TV screen. So Jeff Astles, remember him? And the boys of 66, 5 players though. I mean, what is that just coincidence? 11 of our greatest heroes of this land, and they've gone with dementia. But that's my little Bobby Charlton story. I carry it with me daily, and to see his passing, sad, untimely passing, but he'd been struggling with dementia. We'd known that for quite a while. Certainly after his brother Jackie's documentary that I saw, there was just a word coming out that Bobby was also suffering. So was it heading the ball? Heed the ball? Was it that? Is it football? But brothers going with the same ailment? Highly unusual. But I just thought I'd bring that to you. Sir Bobby Charlton, rest in peace. Hero. I'm going to make a prediction now for you. We're going to move on to... Yeah, Rowan. I'm going to make a prediction. Now, I'm not psychic. If I was, I'd be winning the lottery every weekend. But it's just the machinations of mainstream media. What they try and do is try and pull the wool over your eyes. They think you're Tower Block Tracy. They think you're thick. You're wrong. But because I've done a bit and I understand a bit, I mean, I'll tell you that, can you remember when John Leslie was going through all of his trauma around all the accusations, and it was a TV presenter, Matthew Wright, that named him? That's when everybody found out who it was. Actually, it wasn't John Leslie. But TV company invited me down to London to do a demo, piece to camera, as live. So I was nearly a Channel 5 presenter at one point. Who'd have thought it? I mean, this guy, Jonathan Sacerdoshi, I think his name was, if I remember correctly, sent me an email. I was just like, here, mate, off. No, honestly, genuinely, I am. This is not spam. And I was like, right, okay, then here's my mobile number. Call me. If you don't call me, go off. And he called me within 30 seconds. I was like, oh, hang on a second, this is a bit weird. So because Matthew Wright named him, there was every chance that Matthew Wright was going to be fired by Channel 5. So they needed somebody that was a bit controversial, somebody that knew their way around a phone-in and could handle callers. So I mean, I don't know why they picked me, but I went down and did it. So I know a bit about telly. I've done a fair amount. I've done a fair amount of showbiz. I know my way around. So I'm going to make a prediction. Holly Willoughby prediction, no less. Phil and Holly, the return. Because I will guarantee you, if you look at the way that they're working, they're up to stuff. Don't take it at face value, man. That's what they want you to do. This is all about reputational management. They're needing the mainstream media to play ball with him. So Phil's kind of unwise, but not illegal. Schofield has kind of legged it off somewhere. So when are they going to come back then? Psychic Adrian, you're wrong. 2024. What are they going to be doing then? What do you know? Well, I think it's one of two things. Well, Terry says, nope, Phil and Holly is over and done with, mate. She hates his guts. Not if they stick a couple of million in a trouser pocket or a skirt pocket or a blouse top or whatever. No, this is showbiz. This is showbiz. They do anything for money in showbiz. Ask Shirley Bassey. Adrian, what have you just said? What did I say? Did I say that out loud? Everybody knows in Cardiff. Everybody knows in South Wales, don't they? So it's showbiz. They'll do anything. And if Holly gets a couple of mil, golden handcuffs, and we're going to make you a bigger star than you already are, Holly, I will guarantee you she'll return. And I'll guarantee you that this entente cordiale between Scove and Willoughby is just management puff piece. It's just management going, oh, look, you two, can you? Terry, I do get that. Terry says, no, Holly's a mummy and she won't forgive him for having his brother near her boys. I get that. Completely get that. I said that a long time ago. But it's showbiz. It's showbiz. Well, the Benjamins always count. It's all about the money, the greenbacks, the moolah. Oh, look, this is me putting my derriere on the line. Because if I'm making this prediction and it's completely wrong, you'll be able to go to me, you're wrongin'. Yeah. Fine. But I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, is it going to be what? And hang on a second. That'll do. So, I haven't got this attached to Wi-Fi. A lot of people have just disappeared because anyway. Thank you for staying. It's just frozen. No, it wasn't just you, Andy Turner or Rich or Paul Flint. No, it was me. So what I was going to do was I was going to attach it to the Wi-Fi, not to me 5G. What was I saying? Yeah. So this is Tower Block Tracy. You need to get a tech up. Need to get a better phone. To be fair. So if you look, so the BBC, so this is, the BBC has admitted in the mainstream media that they've been courting Holly for about a year. So the stuff with Scove's brother and Scove, it's only sort of been, at the longest stretch, 6 months. And the BBC have said, we've been courting her for a year. I will guarantee you, that not only were they courting Holly, but they were courting Scove. Unwise, not illegal. So they're being... Wiki videos, too much Battenberg spoils the stream. You don't say. So you've got two people that up until Scove's brother was sent down, hang on, let's just do that. When Scove's brother was sent down, that's when it all kicked off. As I've said before, she had a face on her like a sucking on 15 lemons wouldn't shift. Like a smacked derriere. But it's showbiz. They don't care. Don't care about anybody else except themselves. They don't care about anything else other than the money. I mean, Lauren Taylor says, and I agree, Lauren, I'm a mother, and if anyone put my son in any kind of danger, there wouldn't be enough money to enable me to forgive them. I get that, Lauren, but it's showbiz. So these people spend decades trying to get into that position. I mean, look at the presenters on this morning. Alison Hammond and Dermot O'Leary. Years and years and years to get to the pinnacle. And now that rug is going to be pulled from under their feet. So I believe the BBC don't care about viewing figures or listening figures. They don't even care. I mean, Strictly's their biggest show of the week, the biggest show on the BBC ever. Not sure it gets more than the Radio 2 breakfast show, but it's their biggest telly show. And I did say to you there was a rumour that Holly was being courted or touted as a next presenter of Strictly. And then it all went a bit Pete Tong. Andrew James, you've made me laugh out loud. Celebs do anything for money, even singing Diamond Lights. Tremendous. Brilliant. So I will make this prediction and then I'll go into some of the background around it. I reckon the BBC don't give a flying fig because the money is easy. They just stand there and go, we're the BBC, give us your licence fee. Just pay us your money. A lot of people are saying, don't need the BBC anymore. I don't watch TV anymore. So, I mean, I'll watch Strictly, maybe, but other than that, I hardly watch telly apart from the Groove Tube and a bit of Netflix every now and again. So I reckon the show they're going to do is a BBC version of This Morning, and because it's Golden Handcuffs, the BBC's cancelled doctors. They've also cancelled Holby City PD Ham. I mean, killing off the doctors. Don't you think the NHS is doing a good enough job killing off the doctors and nurses? So I think they're going to golden handcuff them. They're either going to have, maybe, because on a Saturday night, they've only really got Strictly for Q4 of the year. And Q4 is traditionally your highest viewing and highest listening period. So they've got really nothing other than Strictly. So and you know, the others have just got game shows. They've not really, whatever happened to Ant and Dec's Takeaway, nobody knows. That just kind of disappeared. But if you look at telly, the BBC don't have any real big names. They've got Graham Norton, but he's not secured by the BBC. He works for BBC Studios. So they need big names. And I mean, Gary Lineker's not going to be very happy if he's not the highest paid presenter on BBC TV. But if it's Holly and Phil and they're bringing in viewing figures for a mid-morning BBC This Morning style show, then there you go. Or a Saturday night blockbuster, The Cube or something. So I reckon it's golden handcuffs. They'll probably want the Jacobite. How does BBC Studios work again, Adrian? That's their commercial arm. The Jacobite. That's the BBC's commercial arm. So you give them money for them to be able to make money through a commercial arm to pay people millions of quid. I was going to get to Michael McIntyre in a second, Junior Stevens. So you've got maybe Graham Norton. Michael McIntyre, I mean, isn't he in business with Holly's husband? I think you'll find he is. So apart from the Blonde and the Fringe on Saturday Strictly, can you name any other high-profile prime-time presenters? Apart from Graham Norton, I've said that, and his deal through BBC Studios, and Michael McIntyre, who's about as funny as a cold bucket of sick. In my view, just a personal opinion, Top Gear's gone. The BBC, look at Doctor Who. So Top Gear's gone, which was a massive earner for the BBC's commercial arm. Doctor Who almost wobbled into oblivion, but the BBC managed to get hold of it and go, no, let's get rid of this this current iteration of the Doctor because it's not successful. Off she goes. And then they bring 10-inch Tennant back just to get the old viewers back. Christopher Eccleston was the best ever Doctor. So all of the big shows have gone. So what they're going to do is Holly's going to disappear for 6 months and not really, Chris Chibnall. Oh yeah, Chris Chibnall almost killed it with work. I know, Hayden. I know. I mean, I stopped the minute the Doctor became a woman. I've never watched it again. 10-inch Tennant, I might go and give it a butcher's. But if Christopher, I can't even say his name. If Christopher Eccleston came back, and I've seen him do Shakespeare, and he's just an insanely awesome actor. Insane. I saw him do a Scottish play. Can't name it. And he was wonderful. Wonderful. So what they're going to have to do is they've got Holly on one side, and she's just going to, see her contract out. She wants to do Dancing on Ice, but ITV might go, actually, Holly, we know what you're up to. We know you're going to the BBC, so no. Agincourt. So, Agincourt salute. You know where that comes from, don't you? Agincourt. So all the archers are killing off all the French. And if the French caught anybody, they'd chop the fingers off so they couldn't pull the bow and arrow. Because it was the archers that were killing all the French. So every time they caught them, they chopped the fingers off. So that's why the bowmen used to run away from the French at Agincourt. I've still got me bow pulling fingers. That's where that comes from. So they say, seemingly. So Holly's gone, 6 months off. It's a little warmer in Portugal. But Phil, what's he going to do? Now, I'm hearing really strong rumours. This is how it's going to work. Holly's got 6 months off. Nice. Lets her ITV contract run out. Nice. Dancing on Ice is still up in the air. Nice. So Phil, it's the hero's journey again. Phil has got to go away and redeem himself. Now, I know Hancock didn't really do so well. He's a bit dull on that Channel 4 SES, I'm a Celeb, Get Me Out of Here. He's a bit dull. He's a politician. What else do you expect? I didn't say he's got a personality. So Phil's got to go off and redeem himself. So he's got to go through maybe the reality TV. Now, there is precedence for this. They've tried it with Michael Barrymore. Michael Barrymore, Celeb Big Brother. That didn't work. Didn't work. Doesn't work. Will never work. But he's got a few options. I understand that Celeb Big Bro, 750 Gs. 750. I mean, that's more than Noel Edmonds. Noel Edmonds was the all-time high earner for I'm a Celeb. Sorry, Celeb. Yeah, I'm a Celeb or Celeb Big Brother. One of the two. 650 sobs. 1,000 of them. So Phil is going to do it for 750. But why would Phil want to do that? I mean, he's got millions in the bank. He's got property everywhere. Why would he want to do that? Because he wants to come back into telly. He's got to redeem himself. He's got to come back with contrition. Go, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. It was unwise, but not illegal. But I'm sorry. So he's got to go through reality TV. It's not on the BBC, so he can't do that. So he's going to go to either Channel 5 or Channel 4, or one of them. But it's slowly, it's gently, unwise but not illegal. It's letting the public re-engage with both Holly and Phil. And what they will be doing is they will be having focus groups look at all of this all of the time. They'll be monitoring it in the background. They'll be monitoring whether Holly's toxic or Phil's toxic, or they're both toxic, or neither of them are toxic. They'll be running focus groups all the way in the background because it's big money at stake. So I predict the BBC. Nobody else. Mid-mornings and maybe a Saturday night, in time. They're going to take 6 months or so for the rehabilitation of Philip Schofield. He's going to come out and do a reality for big money. Not that he needs it at all. But mark my words. This is not over in a month of Sundays. But will the public take it? It depends how they present it to the public. Do the public have an appetite for it, or are they able to just look at them and go, yeah, we like Phil, yeah, we like Holly, but the only fly in the ointment is this barrister. It's the barrister's inquiry. Now, if their noses are clean, poof, golden handshake, you get golden handcuffs. What is it with handcuffs? I thought that was Greta Thunberg's thing. She loves being arrested, doesn't she? I reckon she's got a thing for handcuffs. If their noses are clean, they get it. They get the contract. Everybody lives happily ever after. But if this barrister that's looking into what went on at ITV's this morning, and anything comes out that's not squeaky clean, contract's done. They won't get the golden handcuffs from the BBC. And I'm sure they're able to name their price. And a commercial deal, because Holly was doing kind of stuff, clothes and makeup and stuff for women. That's where the millions are. Not necessarily the money you get for presenting, but all the stuff on the side that you can make. And who's smoothing the way? Could it be Michael McIntyre, the business partner? Could it be Holly's Mr. Willoughby? Could it be? He's a producer. Let's see. It's just a prediction. Just airing my thoughts, in my view, knowing what I know and how I know it. Let's see. Let's see. But this won't come to fruition until spring next year at least. So if he goes into Celeb Big Brother, is that January? Is that when the celeb... I mean, this Big Brother... I'm a Celeb this year is rumoured to be Liz Truss. No. Tower Block Tracy, man, don't you know about Liz Truss? No. They wouldn't be able to broadcast it. What do you mean, Adrian? What is it you know? Told you before. Google this, but not when there's anybody around. Make sure you use a VPN. Call it day collar. Then you'll find out what Liz Truss is all about. And some of the stories I've heard about Liz Truss, honestly, turn me grey. She's some girl. That's all I'm going to say. Ginny Stevens, do you think Davina McCall will ever present a TV show again? Yeah, definitely. But what and when, I've no idea. Actually, Davina McCall, her partner, Michael Douglas, is an old friend of mine. He used to cut my hair. Cool, blimey, when I was at Red Rose, which that'll have been sort of 93 to 96. Before I moved down to London to do the PR thing. I should contact him. Will they vote the lettuce off first? Rich, that's brilliant. Yeah, Liz Truss didn't last as long as the lettuce, did she? Oh, that would be comedy gold. If she was doing Celeb Big Brother or I'm a Celeb, give me another grub, that would be comedy gold. But Philip Schofield has to meet himself. It's the hero's journey. Joseph Campbell's theory on the hero. He has to come across adversity to meet himself, work out who he is, and live happily ever after. That's the story of life. I'm going to go to Wiki Videos. Davina and The Fringe were both on God's Gift in the 90s with Stuart Hall. Was that not... Davina did a late night show, I think on Channel 4, with Graham Norton. And then he was just like an Irish guy that landed over here and was trying to get into telly. Andrew James, did you really have that like that AA on your Century poster? Yeah. So let's get to what I wanted to talk about. And this leads quite nicely into it. Man Oh Man, I think it was, Adrian. No, was Man Oh Man not McGuinness? Man Oh Man, no, was that not Breakfast Show, Capital? Tarrant. Chris Tarrant. Did he not do Man Oh Man? That was the thing that was imported from Italy or somewhere, wasn't it? Cool, blimey, you're really testing my old grey matter tonight. Let's go to point 3, and Liz Truss. Wasn't the hitman, and I do remember it. Michaela Stragan. Liz Truss nearly, and her chancellor, nearly bankrupt the country. Now, I don't know whether you know what shorting is. It's betting on the denomination or share price will go down. You're betting on it going down. And that's what I understand Nigel Farage and somebody within GB News shorted the NatWest stock. But that's by the by. The Chancellor of the Exchequer shorted on the pound going down. Shorted the pound. This country's denomination. He, the Chancellor, shorted it from what I read in the mainstream media. So Liz Truss nearly ruined the country. I mean, so did John Major and Norman Lamont. We're just gonna come out of the exchange rate mechanism, the ERM, and everybody's turning around going, "Hang on a second, since when were we in that then, John?" So I'm going to tell you this: the Tory Party is a busted flush. It's done. It's finished. Look at the by-elections. Tamworth on Thursday night. Just let me cough a second. The Tory Party's done. And do you know why they're done? Quasi Quarteng, thank you, Rich. The reason why the Tory Party's done is because they've not been doing it for the man and woman on the street. They've not been looking after and leading the man and woman on the street to the greater good, for the benefit of the country, for the benefit of the all. No. Do you know that it looks like that Rich Boy Sunak, you know, when he was doing this help out to stay out, or stay out to help out, go out to help out, eat out to stay out. I know, I was using it for comedy effect. You're wrong. So he says, yeah, eat out to help out. You know that the missus, Sunak's missus, made 2 million quid for her various businesses from our government. So how does that work then? This non-dom, that wouldn't pay taxes in this country, and then all of a sudden a hubby's might be Prime Minister. Might be Prime Minister. So I'll register. No, give us all the taxes that you should have paid and would have paid if you'd been residing in this country, not in California. They've got a house out in California. What do they want to be over here for? I want to be Prime Minister. The Tory Party not only is a busted flush, I don't think they're going to come back from this. They're reckoning the data. Somebody's looked at the data and said they're going to be lucky if they get 50 MPs in the Houses of Parliament. That's how big of a drubbing they're going to get at the next general election. That's why Sunak, I know I've predicted May, and, you know, they'll just chuck it up in the air, and if they feel they can get away with it, they'll go really quickly to the country. Or maybe they're going to wait until 2025, because they don't want to give power away. They don't want to give this trough of money away to anybody else. That's why HS2's been cancelled. They don't want the Labour Party to make any money from it. And billions have been squandered. Billions. Do you know Boris the buffoon? His dad's made 5 million quid from HS2. 5 million sobs. HS2. He bought land and sold it. Can you smell that? Tory Party's done. Doesn't matter how long they try and stay in. They're done. And Rich Boy Sunak, he's not a leader. He's 3'6", about 4 stone wringing wet. He's not a leader. But he's a rich boy, and his missus is even, she's billionaires, man, these people, billionaires. What do they care about me and you? They don't. They don't. And let's have a look at the NHS. Because I've said to you before, they're going to privatise the NHS. They're going to privatise it. This is how the NHS is going to materialise over the next few years. You'll get free at the point of use A&E, emergency treatment. That will be free. Everything else, you are going to have to pay for it. And how are you going to pay for it? Not by your taxes. I mean, look at how much stamp you've been paying for however long you've been working in the past. They've taken it off you. Yeah, it's for the NHS. Yeah, it's for the NHS. And then the politicians would stand there when they're getting their backside handed to them by the mainstream media, those that actually do any journalism, for sleeping with rent boys and sleeping with other people and having affairs left, right and centre. So the NHS, these politicians would go, oh, we'll give 200 million to the NHS to get us out of this pickle. And people go, brilliant, that'll sort it. But it didn't. It never did. And what they've been doing over the last 20 years, including Tony, the new Tory Prime Minister, Blair, he was like, oh yeah, we'll PFI, private, whatever it was, build new hospitals for the private initiative, private finance initiative. And yeah, we'll build hospitals. I know of a hospital that they built brand spanking new and then they don't use it. But the taxpayer has to pay for this. It's not them. It's me and you who bust our buns every day to pay our taxes. And we're honest Indians. We're straight up and down. 3.5 years ago, we were rattling pots and pans on a Thursday night. We're just trying to do the right thing all the time, and they laugh in our face. So they build hospitals, give all this money away, make all this money for their own bank accounts and private businesses, and then they go, no, we're not going to use that. We'll build another one. All this, hundreds of billions, if not trillions of pounds, have been squandered and wasted by politicians. And now they're going to say, right, all the money that you've given us, that we've given to the NHS, that's gone to people that didn't have the NHS's best interests at heart, we're going to make you take out insurance. So it's going to be the American model, sort of. It's going to be a hybrid. I will guarantee you. And look, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm telling you, yeah, what happened to all the Nightingale hospitals? Remember? The COVID-19? All those Nightingale hospitals? They were massive. No, didn't use them. Taxpayers' money squandered. Now, look, we need to have things that we talk to these politicians about. And we need to have things where we say to them, stop saying the government is giving money away. Stop saying that the government is spending this. You're not. It's our money. It is the taxpayers' money that you've robbed from us and stuck into this trough where you're just sticking your snout in and trying to get as much out while you're in power as you can. And I'm not talking about the political parties. I'm talking about these crooked MPs. At least Dick Turpin wore a mask. So the NHS is done. It's done. And you know, Jeremy Hunt, that's not Cockney rhyme and slang before you start. Jeremy Hunt. He wrote a book on how to dismantle the NHS, how to get rid of it. He wrote the book and then he becomes the health minister. What? We'll kind of bookend the live tonight with Manchester United. One of the greatest Englishmen ever, Sir Bobby Charlton, and David Beckham, who would like to be Sir David Beckham at the King's birthday honours, Christmas honours, whenever he gives them honours. He wants to be Sir, he wants to be knighted. But have you been reading this Rebcca Loos? She Rebecca Toilet for short, Rebecca WC. Yeah, Paul Flint. If you drive there, they make you wait in hell's waiting room. A&E. Tower Block Tracy. Andrew Bridgen was booted out for speaking out. But did he eat out to help out? Or was it free at Parliament? Terry Wookford. When are you next on Twitter? Have a search for Irish Taoiseach Leo Varadkar having his flu. Ooh, interesting. Nurse doesn't have anything in her hands. How good is that? Terry. Oh no, honestly. And don't forget, Joe Biden, Manchurian candidate. And who are they going to have as the Democratic candidate against Trump for 2024? I mean, it's murky, it's nasty. Today I saw a whole wave of stuff at Ivanka Trump and Donald's kids and their husbands. And they were pointing the finger at Ivanka and saying that Ivanka was doing the same thing as Hunter Biden and Sleepy Joe. And I know that evil people will point the finger at you and say you're doing something that it's them that's actually doing it. But it's mainstream media. And I will guarantee you, this bankers' war in the Middle East, they're going to shovel hundreds of billions of dollars into that. That is going to be insane amounts of money wasted. American taxpayers' money. It's just, you know, the government, their American government, giving cash away. And over the next couple of days, I'm going to do a look at America and the money and the dollars and what's going on, because it's bankrupt. China's in trouble. America's in trouble. Adrian, what do you think about Reform UK? I haven't studied it long enough, Peter Ham, but I definitely will do. So I want to talk about Rebcca Loos and David Beckham to sort of bookend the live tonight. Now, can you remember her? She was the one that was dancing with David Beckham. She was the PA. Don't know what that stands for, but it could be something muggy. But she's now married with a couple of kids, and she's in the Mail on Sunday today, and the last couple of days they've been leading up to it to say, "Oh, David, yeah, he did stuff with me." Well, obviously we know that. So why has she appeared again out of the woodwork like a bad penny? Money. Tell us, Rebecca, how much did you get from the Mail on Sunday for your 4-page spread today? Did you do it for free? Did you do it for school fees for your kids? What? And she's not really saying anything new, is she? I mean, can we talk about the pig incident? David Cameron got it tight. Rebcca Loos, blimey, did you see what she did on TV? 5 to 25. If you understand the gag, I'm not going to go into it, but you'll get it. I mean, she wasn't married to Victoria. David was. So blame David. But why come out now, Rebecca? Money. Filthy lucre. Benjamins. Has she got a book out for Christmas? No. Colleen Rooney has got the Disney thing going on. Who else has got a book that's just come out? Brittany. Brittany's got a book out. It's everywhere. I mean, that's a bit grubby. Tell us about the drugs, Brittany. Yeah, we've only got 80 likes. I'm going to round it off in 5 minutes. So come on, you wrong uns. Just smash the likes for me, please. So, Rebcca Loos. Is David Beckham's Netflix thing just a vanity piece to get him his knighthood at Christmas? Is it like all of it, all his charity work, all his footy work, or they've reminded everybody of what kind of football player he was, all of his famous mates? Is it a vanity piece? Just to get that knighthood. It's the only thing that he wants. You can smell it on him. He even, there's Phil and Scove and Willoughby. They didn't stand in line to pay their respects to our late Queen, Elizabeth the Great. No, bypassed everybody, bypassed all the little people. No. Don't want to stand with the great unwashed. Bex did. But he also did Rebcca Loos. And she's now back out. If I was to give her some advice, SFTU, Rebecca. Shut up. Take your money and run, because that's even more grubby than having an affair with a married man that you knew to be married. So don't come out saying David's done this and David's done that. Takes two to tango, and you did with a married man. So there's no moral high ground here, Rebecca. Tell us about the pig, Rebecca. It's on telly, we saw it. Tell us. Because you know what they call women that do sex things for money, don't you, Rebecca? So she should shut up, disappear, be happy with her kids and her husband and her life. Get on with it. I was going to read out a whole load of Holly comments because they're just wonderful. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll make a video in the morning for you. It'll be uploaded by tomorrow afternoon at some point. Yeah, we'll save the Holly comments for tomorrow because it could take me another half an hour. And at some point I would like to go to bed tonight. Wiggy videos, 5 more likes. Come on. Yeah, come on, you wrong'un. Let's get us to 100. There's 142 watching as I speak. So 5 smashing the likes would be brilliant. Beckham and Catherine. Really? No, Beckham and Catherine Jenkins. Listen, I was at LBC and I had, they'll remain nameless at this juncture. And no, I can't because I've named. I could have told you a great story there. Maybe I'll do. So if you remember this in a live, I'll try and give you a story without naming any names. But it was a guy that's great voice. And I asked him if he did. We're a very famous woman. You should have. I could feel his backside go. I could feel that his whole world just dropped through his stomach and then out through his derriere. And I thought, I was only joking. I was only joking. But, whew. So, more to this than meets the eye. And then I kind of probed and poked and just, nah. After that point, he just wanted to get out of the interview quick. And then I saw him with his chauffeur outside of LBC, and I thought, oh, you didn't enjoy that, did you? No, because it was the truth. Mad Matt, good to see you, Mad Matt. Good night, everyone. Adrian, thank you for tonight. I really appreciate everything you do. Oh, you're a top man. Thank you, Mad Matt. Andrew James, I wonder if Matt Letitia would have gotten a knighthood for his work for grassroots football if he didn't go against the media and the government narrative. Oh, Matt was... didn't Matt stand up at the same event on Friday, or was it Saturday, with Andrew Bridgen? I saw a quick piece of video footage of him doing like a couple of minutes. Pink Roses, Adrian, could we have more about you and Alex's antics, especially on your nights out? Didn't go for anything, Pink Roses? He did. Tell you about those. Another night, maybe. Thank you for smashing the likes tonight. Thank you for getting us over the line to 100. Don't forget, likes, subscriptions, ding the bell, because there's always videos coming, and I don't want you to miss anything. But for tonight's live, thank you for your indulgence. My name's Adrian Allen. See you in the next video. And don't forget the Battenberg.